Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Let's continue to this now. Higher Education Minister Blade Nzimande has proposed that tuition and residence fees increase by 4.5% and 6.5% respectively at South Africa's universities. In a letter to the chairperson of council, Nzimande says the proposed increase is based on guidance of the Consumer Price Index. The increase could likely affect students from the missing middle, whose annual households is said to range between 350,000 and 600,000. In the proposal, the Department of Higher Education says it will work with the universities to ensure the fee regulations are met by October 2024. On this, we're now joined via video link by Backman Sono, Equal Education Tertiary Society member. Thank you so much, Backman, for your time this afternoon. Just your reaction, firstly, to this proposal to increase fees at the country's universities and its possible impact on students, both those students who are from the so-called missing middle and, of course, the high number of students who still depend on the NFSAS.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for having me. This proposal, when I first heard of it, I am in complete dismay because NFSAS found the disadvantaged people who cannot afford their tuition and residence fees. So having this proposal or this increase means that less black people, mostly black people, won't be allowed to enter into facilities because this is a kind of systematic exclusion, and mostly the middle class people whom depend on NFSAS to pay their registration fee and their accommodation fee, they won't be able to register at universities and they will be in fact left at home. And also the ones who can afford, it is hard because like the increase, it's a little bit too much. And then also when you consider those ones who still want to use NFSAS to enter into universities, they are likely to use it because if the increase is there and you cannot pay the registration fee, it means from the start you are excluded, and universities want the registration fee to be paid. And in that case, you find that NFSAS pays late, meaning that you must, as a student, first pay it, and then that's problematic. It's really problematic, this increase.
And when you look at, in terms of what we are talking about and also the comments that you're making in as far as those students who rely largely on NFSAS, and you see what is playing out currently in the media in terms of accusations of corruption within the NFSAS scheme and also, of course, allegations leveled at the minister. What are your concerns in as far as how this will further disadvantage those students, particularly those from 2023 who are still waiting for funding? We're talking up to 20,000 from last year alone. So added to this particular year, we could be sitting at over 80,000 students who will find themselves at the back end.
Yeah, it is unfortunate, man, because the corruption allegations revealed against the minister, in this context, it makes them seem to be likely true, because if it's like this and the minister put this proposal, and which means that most people will not be allowed to enter universities, it makes it most likely true. And it shows up something that, yeah, it is like this. The government and the students, or the government and the people, do not in fact have the same interest. And considering that there are students who are still waiting for NFSAS to pay for their fees, it means that those people, it means that NFSAS cannot pay mostly some of those fees, and that people must pay for those fees, and that leaves most students in debt which they cannot, in most cases, likely to pay, debts which will have to go on and go on. And when those people maybe finish their degrees, when they work, they have to pay those debts. And in terms of the unemployment rate in South Africa, it is unlikely for the students to pay such debts. So this situation, in fact, it's perplexing. It's stressing for me as a university student, because now I must put in the means to pay for my NFSAS registration. I must maybe find a work, find a piece job of something, which it's unlikely for me to as a student.
And Backman, as an Equal Education Tertiary Society member yourself, just give us a picture in terms of, what students go through, in terms of those that are struggling to pay through the academic year. We're also talking here about accommodation. I mean, one of the political parties that have launched a case against the minister, saying that, of course, this is a crime that has victims behind it. So we are talking about tens of thousands of students that are struggling at some point in their academic year. Just talk to us about what are some of the pressures that you are facing.
The pressures that we are facing, ma'am, currently is that when NFSAS can't pay for your tuition fees or for residence, it means that students go weeks and weeks hungry. They go like they don't have anything to eat. They can't even afford it. And in most cases, they can't even call their families for money because those parents can't even sustain themselves. So it's an issue mostly of hunger. People get to be hungry most days. And at that time, universities are continuing, exams are being written. People can't pay for their books, they can't afford their books, and exams are written, which means that you are likely to fail. And mostly, people sleep outside. It's very hateful when during the year, for example, last year, I see people maybe from my university or other universities, they are sleeping outside because NFSAS have not settled their rents. NFSAS has not settled their accommodation. So people get to sleep outside. Some get to be killed. GBV increased because mostly women, they get abused by outside people, by maybe street kids. They get to be raped and all those sort of things. Some get to be mugged, they lose their laptops and like almost everything. So when it's like that, students just lose their dignity. You just become a nobody. In fact, you find that, for example, you are studying in Gauteng and you're from Limpopo and you can't go home, you can't afford to. So that's what we go through. But as Equal Education Tertiary Society at the University of Johannesburg, this year we just have to raise some funds to help students to register because in most cases, we tend to help students go to the university, find a place to stay or something, or even find a shack for them to stay. And it is really stressful, ma'am, really, really stressful.
And already we're starting the year with some, of course, negative, news. Just talk to me about what you are hoping will happen or will change, into this new academic year as many students, are pining their hopes on getting in 2024.
Yeah, what I'm hoping will change is that maybe the minister can change his decision, or mostly what I always hope for is that maybe some organizations, including Equal Education, can take this matter to court. Because if we can do that, or maybe an agent interdict, it can help a lot of students. It can stop this thing which is about to happen, which will affect a lot of students. So I am truly hoping that maybe an organization or someone will be able to approach the court for a remedy which will assist the students to enter into a varsity. Because now students are waiting for their results now. They are very hopeful that they will get NFSAS, and they don't know what is happening now. Some can't even access information of what is happening now or this proposal is about. They are not even aware of it.
Backman, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Really do appreciate your thoughts. Backman Sono is from Equal Education Tertiary Society member, of course, responding to that proposal by the Minister Blade Nzimande of tuition and residence fee increases by 4.5% and 6.5%.